Good morning, video games. Today is Friday, January 8th, 2021. My name is Brendan Bigley, and I'm going to try talking about a couple things today. I'm going to see how that goes. Initially, my plan for this show was to just show you one thing per day, but I don't know. Why not mix it up, you know? Why not experiment with the format while I'm in the soft launch phase? So I got three things today that I want to talk about real quick. The first one being the Nintendo Switch Pro, a rumor that has been floating around for as long as the Nintendo Switch has been around, maybe, at this point. A data miner apparently found some details about the Switch Pro, which is maybe the first, potentially hard evidence we've ever seen. All of this should be taken with a grain of salt. AJ, our producer on Into the Aether, famously said to some friends of ours once that trying to predict what Nintendo is doing ever is a fool's errand, and I very much agree with him. So, big grain of salt warning here. Let's talk about some of these details. The first thing is that it's called Alla internally at the moment. That's the current code name for the thing. It's no Dolphin, I'll say that much. Dolphin was the original name of the GameCube, I think, internally. But there are a couple things in here that I think are actually worth talking about, because they might give us some hints at what is potentially happening here. So number one, this right here, the new model of this Switch is going to have the exact same chip found in the 2019 version of the Nintendo Switch. So that's the one with the upgraded battery. It's also the Switch Lite chip, which is interesting. There's also another chip here which potentially supports 4K UHD multimedia playback, and that might be in the dock instead of the console, which I want to touch on later. They're also saying that the display is upgraded. I saw some stuff here and there about it potentially being an OLED screen, which, who knows how true that's going to be. Here's what I'll say about the Nintendo Switch Pro. I've had a couple thoughts about this for a while at this point, just about the direction that I think they could probably go. Again, predicting what Nintendo is doing never, ever works. But the thing that always made sense to me was you had the Nintendo Switch, the thing that we all know and love and use, the Nintendo Switch Lite, which has become wildly popular, and that is a dockless version of the Nintendo Switch, so it can't switch. And I think there was always room in the lineup for a Switch TV or a Switch Pro, which was a console-only device. It was a TV-only device, something that wasn't portable at all, but maybe had a little bit of upgraded power because of that. What we're seeing here in this rumor is less of a console-only device, I think, as I and a bunch of people on the internet were speculating wildly at, and more of just like a standard upgrade to the base level Nintendo Switch, which honestly, given this right here, looks like it's more of an upgrade to the dock than to the Switch itself. There might be some new stuff going on with the Joy-Cons, there might be new stuff going on with the screen, but it looks like the thing that's going to support 4K is the dock, which I think creates a bizarre alternate world in which everybody who has a Nintendo Switch, a standard Nintendo Switch, upgrades the dock. What is the percentage chance of that happening? 0%. That's a wild thing to say out loud, but I don't know, it popped into my head, and I guess that's what this show is all about, so that's what I said out loud. What I really do think is going to happen is that this is going to get released as the new Nintendo Switch. They're going to slowly phase out the Switch that we have seen on shelves for a long time. The Switch Lite will still continue to exist as a low-price entryway into the Switch lineup, but for people who want the actual switching capability, they will get this new upgraded Nintendo Switch. So the 4K thing I did want to touch on real quick as well. I would venture a guess, knowing Nintendo's history, that they are not super focused on graphical fidelity. That is not ever the ball game that they are playing. They're playing stick and hoop, when it comes to graphics. Their stuff is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's never been the thing that they're focused on, The stick and hoop is fun, and that's what matters to them. So the 4K here, I would venture a guess, is right here. I would say that the 4K capability comes into playback of media. I would venture a guess that with the new Nintendo Switch, they're going to have a revised focus on getting more multimedia apps onto the thing. You know, this very well could mean that the games are pumping out 4K quality images, but, you know, with the same chip that's in the 2019 Switch and the Switch Lite, who knows? Who knows if that's a possibility even? There are some wild things that have been possible on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, The Witcher 3 on the Switch is like, it's a work of gods, I think. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. It's a miracle that game is on the Nintendo Switch. And this is what makes me think we'll see Netflix on there. Netflix has this like big interest in filming all of their stuff in 4K, having it in really high quality, being able to stream that high quality to people. There's a world in which, to me, I could see Netflix saying, we're not going to put Netflix on the Switch if we can't show off our stuff in the fidelity that we are literally funding and paying for on the production end. Why would we show off our stuff at, you know, 720p if that's all the Switch is capable of? Which I think could lean into the display being upgraded as well, saying like, in instances in which the Switch is just streaming video, it might be able to display 4K. But I'm not expecting to play Super Mario Odyssey in 4K. That to me feels like one step too far for Nintendo's interests. But if they want more people to buy this, and for this to be the main console, right? Because I think a lot of people buy the Switch as like a secondary console. Not a lot, but there's a chunk of people who are very vocal on the internet who buy the Switch as like a secondary console to either like an Xbox or a PC or a PS4 or 5 or whatever. I think having this possibly be the centerpiece of your home console system would be a very compelling argument for Nintendo, and one that is a little bit dated too, right? We saw Xbox try and do that with the Xbox One, and it failed majestically, but it's just dated enough that I think Nintendo might try and do it. Anyway, let's move on to this next thing. Speaking of Xbox, wow, we got the whole gamut today. This is great. This is very silly. I'm not going to talk about it for very long. There was a rumor going around that the reason Xbox controllers came with batteries instead of a rechargeable thing was because they have a deal with Duracell, which does seem to be the case. Based on the reports I've seen, Microsoft and Duracell do have an agreement in place, and I think that agreement is essentially like, or we're not including a rechargeable controller with our device, and we need some batteries to come with it. So do you want to give us batteries? And Duracell said yes. I think that's the agreement. But what this has blown up into is people saying that because Duracell and Xbox have an agreement, that is why the controllers have never come out of the box rechargeable, and that's why you have to buy like a separate rechargeable battery pack for your Xbox controller. I don't really have a lot to say about this outside of, I do think it's very silly that I have to use batteries for my Xbox controller when it comes out of the box. That is very dumb. Microsoft's response to all of this flaring up was, we intentionally offer consumers choice in their battery solutions for our standard Xbox wireless controllers. This includes the use of AA batteries from any brand, the Xbox rechargeable battery, charging solutions from our partners, or a USB cable which can power the controller when plugged into the console or PC. So they're taking the consumer choice angle here. I guess that's nice. I don't know who like loves going out and buying AA batteries. I guess there is something about the like immediate catharsis of like putting a new set of batteries into a thing when the first set has died. But is it really that hard to plug a thing in and have it be rechargeable, which is like in aggregate better for the environment? No is the answer. It's not more difficult to do that. It's actually much easier to do that, but also it costs money. Check it out. It's $25 to get this thing that recharges and has a USB cable, which should probably be built into the controller itself. If you get the Xbox Elite controller, which I'm reaching because I have one right here, no place to even open this up. I did see another statement. It's because it's rechargeable. And it has a sick magnetic charger. You can actually see it. There, those are the magnetic connectors. You just drop it on a magnetic little brick thing and then it charges. I did see another statement that was talking about the potential hassle of needing to replace the rechargeable battery pack in case it ever dies. Like, how often is that happening? It's definitely happening less than your actual AA Duracell batteries are dying. I don't know. It's very silly across the board. It's silly that I think there is like this perceived grand conspiracy here. I think it was very silly that Microsoft had to comment. I think it's very silly that Microsoft's comment was like, people love AA batteries. It's silly all the way down. So this is a thing that's happening in the news. I wanted to bring it up. Let's move on to the last thing. I just wanted to show this off because I thought it was very interesting. There's a company that seems to be called Super 5, which is going to be selling a black edition of the PlayStation 5. Like, they're clearly just like coloring it themselves. It looks great. Don't get me wrong. I love the colored logo here. I love the way the controller looks. I think it looks really nice. I am one of the people who thinks that the current PlayStation 5, the one that comes out of the box, looks just like horrible. It is a horrible looking device. It like actively makes my living room look worse being in it. I think that there's a lot to be said for like creating a piece of industrial design that is like a statement. You know, like take risks, take chances. I think the Xbox Series S is a successful version of that. I mean, look at this thing. This is a pretty nice looking device, I would say. You can stand it up, which I do. I have it standing up right off camera over here. You can lie it down. It's a nice looking device. The Xbox Series X, it's a pretty innocuous looking thing. It is literally just a PC tower. It has some green stuff at the top, but you can very easily ignore it. The PlayStation 5, on the other hand, is a giant white monolith. It's huge. It is like way bigger than you think. If you don't have a PS5, it's even bigger than you think it is. You've seen all the people online talking about how big that thing is. It is even bigger than your perceived vision of how big it is. And the idea of turning it into a matte black thing is actually pretty appealing to me. Unfortunately, the way you have to buy it from Super 5, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're coloring it themselves. It's kind of like a colorware situation. So you're gonna have to either pay $650 or $750 to get one. And of course, because of the low inventory of PlayStation 5s, they're gonna be sold out pretty much immediately. There is another option, and I'm very interested to see how long this stays live for. I saw this like a week ago. Dbrand, who is known for making skins for phones, I've never used one. The idea of like putting a 3M sticker on my phone and then taking it off and having like 3M gunk on the back just freaks me out. And also applying them is weird. Anyway, they are supposedly in the process of making matte black PS5 faceplates. So those giant white fins on the side, which are currently, I think, shaped the way they are and are placed the way they are for air intake, you know, so that thing can run pretty much silently. Those are removable. There's a way to take them off. And what it looks like is happening is that Dbrand is going to be producing matte black versions of those fins. Now it says coming 2021. They have like an email sign up and stuff asking people to pick between the disc and digital editions. That said, every other company that has tried to make faceplates for the PS5 so far has gotten a cease and desist from Sony. So I'm very interested to see how Dbrand is planning on maybe doing this if they have not already received a cease and desist. This website still is up a week later, so it makes me think that because they haven't actually sold any yet, that, you know, maybe it's going to be okay. But that said, I want this. I would very much prefer to have an all-black PS5 than the current very strange-looking thing in my living room. So, Dbrand, I hope you don't get a cease and desist. I hope I get to buy this. I have not entered my email address because I want to see if you somehow make it through the process of being able to sell this thing. Anyway, all of that said, that's gonna do it for me today, Friday, January 8th, 2021. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Good Morning Video Games. Let me switch over this guy. If you are into the show, I guess let me know however you can, however you're seeing this, whether it be the comments or Discord or whatever. I'm not posting this in too many places, so if you're watching this, you can probably speak to me directly about it somehow. But that said, thank you to everybody who watched it yesterday. Thank you to everybody who's watching it today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I think I'm going to start doing this show for real, hopefully on like Monday. I also think I might be incorporating a live element every once in a while. I might just like go live and do the show live every once in a while. So we'll see. I'm not super sure. It depends on how long the recording process generally takes, and you know, how to edit it down and things like that. So I'm not totally sure. I'm figuring it out on the fly. I find generally the best way to make this stuff happen is to just continue doing it and putting it out in front of people and then getting feedback. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. Man, I'm gonna go back to this real quick. I really want these faceplates. Ugh, look at that. All right, I gotta stop myself. Somebody stop me. The mask. All right. Goodbye, everyone.